What's your view on how President Trump has done through his first year?
Well, I think he's done great damage to the presidency, his leadership to our country. He, in his first year, has done everything to intentionally divide America, not unite America. Leaders are uniters. Leaders are not dividers. The issues today are so complicated and so interconnected because of the volatility of the world, if nothing else, that we have to get along. We have to work with each other. You can have strong opinions, of course, and fight mightily for what you believe, but in the end, you've got to make government work. You have to compromise. You've got to sort it out. You can't continue to vilify the other side and call them names and make so many comments that he's made about his own intelligence agencies and people in the federal government and individuals. You can't allow personalization to dominate your responsibilities as a leader. So I'm hoping that maybe President Trump will have learned something from this first year. I think 2018 is going to be a difficult year. You've got a lot of forces now in play. Certainly the Mueller investigation, other investigations, all the other dynamics that are in play, big issues, legitimate issues out there, world issues, the Korean Peninsula issue. The Middle East is, I think, in more turmoil and more dangerous than it's ever been. Everywhere you look, there's a new dynamic. I think, too, when you've got a president of the United States that continues to advocate this America First agenda with our allies in a world where we need friends, we need alliances. We're not going to sort everything out by ourselves. Certainly, the military can't fix problems alone. The military is one piece of it. But we need friends and alliances. That's why we built the kind of world we built after World War II. We built coalitions of common interest. When you start taking the United States out of treaties and trade relationships, as the president did with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Chinese will fill that vacuum, and they are. And there'll be others who fill it, just like NAFTA, talking about undoing NAFTA, taking us out of the Paris climate accords. That's not the way to lead the world, to create vacuums and to continue to tell the world, as he did in his UN speech a few months ago, it's America first, and I'm sorry about the rest of you. America can't lead that way. It's not on our interest to do that. So I hope that the Congress will reassert itself in ways that it must to start to balance this out for certainly this year, because we're in for a difficult year, I think, domestically and internationally.
Do you believe President Trump, either his actions or his words, has made the world more dangerous?
Well, I don't think he has helped address the volatility and the danger in the world by his words and by his leadership, for the very reasons I just mentioned. American leaders, and you can go right back down through the list of them, this takes since World War II, have always attempted to reach out and to make friends, to build new alliances, not divide alliances and impose tariffs on countries just arbitrarily, unilaterally. All these things have consequences. You know, the world affairs, geopolitics, or domestic affairs is like a mosaic. It isn't normally just one piece that gives you the picture. It's a number of pictures that come together in a mosaic, and then you start to see the clarity of what that situation is. Intelligence, economics, trade, politics, military, terrorism, all of that playing in. And a president of the United States must lead and not divide.
You mentioned 2018 is going to be a very difficult year. We've heard Secretary of Defense William Perry from the Clinton administration say he believes the world is closer to a nuclear war than it's ever been. Today, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists moved the Doomsday Clock as close as it's been since 1953. Do you subscribe to the idea that we are closer to nuclear war now than at any point in the last 50 years?
Well, I think when you have new nuclear powers come onto the scene, especially in the case of North Korea, that is not responsible, that's not accountable, that does not participate in any organizational institutions of nuclear treaties, then that makes the world more dangerous. It does add to the danger of some kind of a nuclear exchange, whether it's accidental or it's by design. And so, yes, it is a continued danger, and probably the tension that we're seeing, especially over the last year, rise, also intensifies that danger. Most nuclear powers are responsible powers. The United States, the French, the British, the Russians. As far as their nuclear capabilities, I think the Chinese. But when you have nations that don't adhere to any international protocols, that's when it gets very, very dangerous. And then you add the tension to it that I think President Trump has made worse with his tweets, my button's bigger than yours, and fire and fury, and we'll wipe you off the face of the earth, and so on. That says to me he doesn't understand the consequences of a nuclear exchange. There's no winner in that. There's no winner in that, and we must avoid that. We've fortunately avoided that since World War II.